large, it's just like an X. I think we're good.
All right. It is 7:02, and I will call the budget hearing and annual meeting to order. So our mission statement: together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. Our core values are listed in the packet. The welcome is the next item. The Board of Education and School District Administration welcome our residents to the district budget hearing and annual meeting. During the budget hearing, you will be informed of the proposed budget, which is based on estimated costs and the budgetary changes that either have or will take place during the next year due to the expected increase in revenue available to the school district through federal ESSER funding and the increased costs related to the exceptional circumstances related to providing education in the COVID environment, and of utilities, insurances, wages, supplies, materials, equipment, and requirements set forth by the Department of Public Instruction and state and federal legislation. It is estimated that 37.3% of revenue for the 21-22 general fund budget will come from local sources, 52.1% from state sources, and 10.6% from all other sources, including federal and open enrollment tuitions. In comparing 2021 unaudited revenues, 36.2% came from local sources and 56.5% from state sources. The district is committed to the educational excellence and the achievement of our students. To accomplish this, we need the input and support of our community. The Board of Education, the administration, and the staff have strived toward making our programs as effective as they can be for the benefit of our students and community. We have progressed significantly in a variety of important educational areas and will continue to move forward in the coming year in accordance with the district's strategic plan. So guidelines for addressing the assembly. Please stand, state your name and the municipality in which you reside. 5 minutes per topic per person. Matters pertaining to specific individuals or sensitive subjects may be tabled for discussion outside of the public assembly. Thank you for following the agenda as presented. And if you have not yet signed in, we keep a record of everyone who's at the meeting. So make sure you do so, please, before you leave. And now we are to the part where Dave's going to take over, I believe.
Yep, we'll go through the budget hearing and then we'll move on to the annual meeting. So that's on, the welcome was on page 3. If we move to page 4, that is the general budget planning calendar. And you can see year over year, there's overlap between one year and the next year as far as planning and then implementation goes. These are some of the highlights of the year. And the budget was published in last week's Hudson Observer, and you can see it'll be published again next year. If you move to the next page, page 5, these two pages, pages 5 and 6, are the summary budget that were in the paper. You can see the first column is audited 1920, so those are final official numbers. The unaudited 2021 are very close estimates of what the final numbers for 2021 will be. The audit is not complete. All of these numbers that are in here is a snapshot together as of where we were a couple of weeks ago when I submitted this to the paper for publication. So since then, there have been a few minor changes, but this is, the unaudited column is very close to where we'll end up. And then the budget for 21-22, again, that's our snapshot as of a couple weeks ago. Some things will change. We've been finalizing employee benefit enrollments, and those elections, those changes will have impact on some of those costs. especially related to health insurance choices. In addition, on the revenue side, a lot of our funding is based on the revenue limit, and the revenue limit calculation is based on the third Friday count, which is obviously upcoming the third Friday in September. So that's when we get our official count for student membership. That will affect our big revenues. And lastly, I'd like to mention that we've been talking about using our ESSER funds to the fullest extent. We are still awaiting, I just heard last week, I think from GPI, that they're extending the data validity check for those of us who had to submit our hours in person, those districts that are getting the extra funding calculated that way, of which we are one. So that's pushed back a little bit until we know for sure what our allocation for ESSER 3 will be, and the final portion of ESSER 2 as well. We do anticipate that the ESSER 3 final calculation will be bigger than anticipated, but also there are some additional restrictions, especially in the ESSER 3 money, in how it can be spent or how it's supposed to be spent. So we'll have to do some real thinking about how we're going to code certain things, whether some things that we're doing now qualify for the expenditure of these funds, because it was the state legislature's suggestion that we use those funds in lieu of a revenue limit increase. So that's what we're trying to do. So more information to come regarding that. Very likely it will be more than we had thought before, but we don't know yet for sure what the final numbers will be. So again, all this that you see here was a snapshot as of a couple weeks ago, and we're moving forward. We'll get our final information, our final student count. We'll get our final aid certification from the state mid-October, October 15th. All of the levy information, the mill rate information is based on my calculated estimates based on the August Department of Revenue numbers used for counties. So again, close approximations, not final yet. So if we move to page 7, pages 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, these are all the details, further detail for what was published and shows up on pages 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are the summary. These are all the details. So you'll see all these mini lines come to subtotals, and generally the subtotals show up in the summary. So this is just further detail of where we were 2 weeks ago in our process. If you move on to page 12, you can see a selected recent history of our tax levy, broken down with general operations and debt service and total. And you can see the mill rate, which is just a calculation there. The mill rate's going down. The overall levy is increasing, and you can see the second column from the left next to the school year, the equalized valuation. The valuation for the district is increasing again, and that is having that effect on the mill rate to make that smaller. Underneath that, you can see the levy by municipality. These are all our close estimates for right now. With the history over the years, you can see the percentage change as well year over year in the levy, and then the EV percentage change again is the property value percentage change for each of those municipalities. Then if we turn to page 13, this is just a graphical representation of some of that information on that previous page. The 5-year tax levy history and the mill rate history since 11-12. And the mill rate again is very much a factor of property values having been increasing over the recent years. And finally on page 14, we have the summary of the referendum approved indebtedness. And so we have 2 outstanding bonds that we're still paying off. One of them is almost done. The other one is the repayment of the bonds for the construction that we're currently finishing up now. And if there are any questions or comments, we can field those now. Otherwise, that is the end of the budget hearing.
Did anybody have any questions for Dave? And now, because this is the annual meeting, if you wanted to ask something, you have that, you can do that. It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. Good.
I'm excited about that, one column only having 3 more entries in it. Is that going to have I'm assuming it's gonna have a positive impact on our district.
If you look at the column, you're talking about the outstanding referendum approved indebtedness page 14. If you look at the column on the far right, calendar year total, that's the levy amount. And so you can see it remains constant over the years. So how the debt was structured for this most recent referendum and now bond payment schedule is that we maintain that flat payment. So the dollar amount will remain flat. As I mentioned, the mill rate, which includes all levies, both for operation and for debt service, is decreasing because property values are going up. But the dollar amount for this levy is flat by design.
Got it.
And maybe just one, maybe you comment on this too, with the mill rate dropping, with increased values and the additional building that's going on here, actually puts us in a good position.
Yeah, so if your property values are increasing solely because of reassessment, then the decreasing mill rate doesn't necessarily have much of an effect for a given taxpayer. But if it's increasing because of new construction, additional new housing and so forth, then that does have a material effect, all other things equal, on an individual taxpayer's expected levy amount.
Any further questions? All right, then we are at the end of the budget hearing. Thank you, Dave.
Certainly.
And we will begin the annual meeting, and the first item is to elect a chairperson. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to elect Lori Largen as chairperson.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Marge. Would anybody care to make another motion?
I make a motion to elect Roxanne as teller.
Well, hang on a second.
One at a time.
All in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have a motion by Bruce and a second by Marge, all in favor. So the motion passes. The teller,
Tasia did last.
Oh, yeah.
you might
Sorry, do
want
have
to
I
have-
make a motion to elect Tasia as the teller. I thought it was a clerk thing, my bad.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roxanne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The minutes of the 2020 budget hearing. Is there a motion?
That's me.
Okay, so I want to make a motion. Am I approving the minutes from the 2020 meeting?
And dispensing?
Okay, yep. Dispensing with the reading, okay. I just want to make sure I word this right. Okay, I'm moving to dispense with the reading of the 2020 annual, right?
Yes.
Annual meeting minutes.
And approve?
And approve. Okay, I just want to make sure I word this right.
And approve the minutes?
And approve the minutes, yes.
All right, so Roxanne has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Patty Jo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then the treasurer's report.
I make a motion to dispense with the reading of and approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Cherie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Marge. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If you have any questions about any of this, please let us know.
No.
Okay.
Good, thanks.
Hey, Lori, sorry.
Mhm.
I think that someone needs to elect Cherie as the treasurer to dispense with.
Okay. I don't see that.
Oh, so it says, in those words, I blank, move to elect blank, to dispense of, and to approve the treasurer's report. I, Patty Forsberg, move to elect Cherie to approve, to dispense with the reading of and to approve the treasurer's report.
And I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item, we've got on page 19, we have the enrollment report. We already looked at this. This is the same document that was in our work session. There's a bar graph that shows enrollment growth at each of the buildings. The next item on pages 20 and 21, our strategic plan. The first page lists, and then the second page goes into the specific items, and they're color coded by what is operational, we've already achieved and we're continuing. Yellow is implementation, we are working on them currently, and the pink color coding is a carryover from previous years. Mark, was there anything you wanted to add to this?
Nope, not at all, you got her nailed it.
And then we have our district-wide goals on page 22. On page 23, we have our 21-22 school year calendar, which is also linked to our school district website, as well as the strategic plan is on our school district website. The next item then is authorization to acquire real estate. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make that motion. Let's say, who I am.
Tasia?
Yes, please.
Bruce Blarden from Somerset.
Thanks.
And do we need to read the resolutions, or because they're in the packet, is it all right to move forward without reading the exact motion?
You should read the resolution also.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Somerset is authorized during the 2021-2022 school year to acquire real estate.
Okay, so we have a motion by Bruce, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roxanne. Roxanne, would you state for the record your municipality?
Roxanne Kendall, Fulton, Wisconsin, town of St. Joseph.
Okay, so St. Joseph's Township,
Mhm.
okay.
I better put Township of Somerset.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is designate sites for district buildings and provide for the erection of suitable school buildings. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I make a motion to designate sites. I, Patty Forsberg, Somerset Village, designate sites for for district buildings and provide for the erection of suitable school buildings. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Somerset is authorized during the 2021-2022 school year to designate sites for district buildings and to provide for the erection of suitable school buildings.
And is there a second?
I will second. Cherie Link, Somerset Township.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. To direct and provide the prosecution and defense of legal procedures. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I, Roxanne Kendall, make a motion to direct and provide for the prosecution and defense of legal procedures. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Somerset is authorized during the 2021-2022 school year to direct and provide for the prosecution and defense of legal procedures. Motion by Roxanne Kendall, St. Joseph Township.
And second,
I got it. Seconded.
Patty Jo. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. School board expenses. Would anybody care to make a motion?
I will make a motion regarding the school board expenses. Be it resolved by the electors of the School District of Somerset that the Somerset Board of Education during the 2021-2022 school year shall be reimbursed for actual and necessary expenses for travel when required. Cherie Link, Somerset Township.
Second?
I'll second.
Marge Belil, Somerset Township.
Somerset Township.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of proposed 21-22 budget tax levy.
I'll make a motion, it resolved that there shall be levied upon the taxable property of the School District of Somerset the tentative sum of $7,194,277 for the purpose of defraying the operation of maintenance of the public schools for the 2021-2022 school year. The projected mill rate shall be $8.25 per $1,000 value. Motion by Bruce Belargin, Town of Somerset.
Second?
Patty Forsberg, Village of Somerset.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Policy on the disposal of unwanted equipment and supplies.
I make a motion on the policy of unwanted material and supplies. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Somerset is authorized during the 2021-2022 school year to sell and dispose of any tangible personal property belonging to the school district that is determined by the administration to be no longer needed for school purposes. Motion by Patty Forsberg, Village Staff.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Marge. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. School board salaries.
I will make a motion that the school board salaries, be it resolved by the electors of the School District of Somerset that I think we have a little typo in there, that the board members will receive $70 per meeting in which they are in attendance. Motion made by Cherie Link, Somerset Township.
And second?
I'll second Roxanne Kendall, St. Joseph Township.
And I have discussion.
Yes.
Now that I'm no longer on a committee, I think there should be compensation for committees. And whether it's $70 a meeting or whatever, a lot of hours go into the policy committee, and it's the only committee we have right now. But a lot of work goes into it, and at least the times that I'm meeting to get together to go over the extensive work, I think committees should be compensated. It's a lot of work. At the same rate as a meeting, so $70 to showing up to your policy committee, or your, if there's more committees, just be compensated for those committees, because it's heavy.
So you're making amendment to the motion.
Yes.
Is there someone who would like to second Patty Jo's amendment?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Marge. All right, so we're first gonna vote on the amendment. All right, so all in favor of the amendment to compensate for committee meetings? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so let's do a, I need a number. So,
Roll call.
roll call. Marge,
Yes.
I'm going to abstain. Sheree,
No.
Roxanne.
No.
Patty Jo.
Yes.
Bruce was,
No.
and I'm sorry, I don't know your names.
I'll abstain too, yeah.
Abstain. Tasia.
Abstain?
All right, so I wasn't counting, is it 2 to 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a no. All right, so the amendment fails, and now we're gonna vote on the original motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. I think that it was 1 to the rest.
Yep.
Okay, so, the motion carries. Annual meeting date is the next item.
When do we get a raise?
Would anybody like to make a motion?
Don't put it in.
I'll make a motion for the annual meeting day. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the School District of Somerset is authorized to hold the 2022 annual school district meeting on Monday, September 12th, 2022 at 7 PM in the School District Learning Center Conference Room, Section 120.08, 1, Wisconsin statutes. Motion by Roxanne Kendall, St. Joseph Township.
I'll second.
Sheree is seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is adjourning the annual meeting.
I, Patty Forsberg, move to adjourn the 2021 Somerset School District Annual Meeting.
And is there a second?
I will.
Marge has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So this is the end of our annual budget hearing.